Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Real Talk with Ben podcast here, and I'm so glad you decided to join me. Whether you're just been chilling at work all week and you decided to tune in, or whether you're at home, whether this is weeks in advance, or whether this is maybe a couple days ahead or a couple days after or whatever. Anyways, I hope you are having a great day, and I hope you've had a great week so far. And if you're new, my name is Ben, and this is my podcast where I talk about ministry, I talk about life, I talk about topics of the world, basically anything that I think would be interesting for you all to hear and encouraging at the same time with a gospel focus of what I try to do here on this podcast, but also in all my videos and stuff like that. And if you are watching on YouTube, I hope you like that new intro. It's something that if you watched last week's episode and I think Friday recap as well, it would have you would have seen the new intro and outro. I think there's gonna be the outro to this. I don't really know. We'll see. But I hope you enjoyed it. My friend Alistair, who coached baseball here at camp this summer, did an amazing job with his drone. And I said, hey, can I have that? And he's like, absolutely not. No, I'm kidding. He did. He said, you can have this. And it was really appreciative. I really was, because I don't know, it's just really cool. And you know me, I like cool things. So yeah, so new intro on YouTube, excited, got to change it up every once in a while. So it's been a great week. And obviously last week, my heart was a little heavy, and it still is heavy every now and then. But God has really been good, and it's had great conversations and yeah, so it's been a great week. I guess too, it's been also an amazing week in my own personal life. I'm not going to go into detail because she would hate me for it. Probably. I don't know. But I do have a girlfriend now. I'm single no more, but that's all I'm going to say. If you want to know more, you can talk to me about it. But yeah, so that's exciting. I am, yeah, I won't get into too much detail, but I just wanted to announce that because, I don't know, it's a big deal for me. It's God's really, if you know our story or if you haven't heard it, it's really cool. And maybe I'll talk about it one day. I don't really know. We'll see. But I don't want to throw her out there because it's just, I don't want it to be that way. But her name's Rebecca and she's amazing. And yeah, so that's all that is. I just want to put that out there. But I'm moving on to our topics for the day. The topic for the day is it's called a conversation that can change a life. Now, I didn't know really what I wanted to talk about this week because obviously last week kind of threw me off of my rhythm, and I was trying to figure out what can I say, what can I talk about. And this week I went back to coaching. I was coaching basketball this week, which has been great. It's been a great opportunity to once again coach the sport I love. We have our friend Osas here, who my dad and I adore. He's amazing. Originally from Nigeria, played professional basketball here in Hungary, and is a great Christian brother. And he does a great job. And so he's helping me this week. But anyways, I got the younger group, or not really the younger group. It was more of the maybe less experienced group, which is really, it's fine by me. I don't mind. But I didn't realize, one, how much they needed to work at it. This basically, I didn't know how much they needed to work at basketball specific things. So it kind of threw me for a loop a little bit, trying to figure out how do I, prepare for that? How do I, coach them? But more than that, I had a few kids that, they had some behavior issues the first day, especially, and the second day as well. And it was really hard. It was hard for me. And what I mean by that is it was hard because I felt that anything I did, no matter if how fun I made it, any competitions I did, anything I tried to do, I couldn't grab somebody, especially a few of them, their attention, which I think caused the whole group. And Dorka, who is my translator and also helped me coach, we both looked at each other like, what do we do? And so I decided to do this. And if you're into coaching, this is a great piece of advice, is the ones that are more prone to have bad behavior, try to do things with them one-on-one. And that's what I decided to do. I said, I'm down and out. It was on Tuesday, and I'm like, I've already went through a day with this. And I said, you know what, I'm going to try to do this more one-on-one with some of my kids. And yeah, this it was really cool because uh, pretty sure Bati, who I'm going to talk about, but also another boy named Lotzi, and then there's another one as well. I don't think they really liked me the first day. I was kind of not hard on them in a bad way. Just, hey, like, you need to show up on time. You need to have respect. There was a lot of just things that I wanted them to learn. I wanted to love on them, but I wanted them to learn. And so, long story short, I started working with Bate, I think is his how you pronounce his name. Don't quote me on that. I'm sorry if you're Hungarian. I probably butchered the name. It's okay. Um, yeah. So Bate is his name, and got to work with him one on one, which was really really awesome. And so I was trying to tell him how to shoot. He's a smaller kid, probably about 10, 11, smaller kid. I was trying to show him how to shoot, and he finally started making some as we were practicing, and he doesn't speak any English at all. And if it is, it's like thank you or hello or stuff like that. So a lot of times I think he thought, and I still think he does, even after a couple of days, that I speak Hungarian, because he would just go into full sentences, and I know very little. I know a few words in basketball, so I think that's kind of why he thought I knew Hungarian. So I always had to find a kid that spoke English, or oh, the yawns are back. I'm sorry. They're back. I thought they avoided me, but never mind. Anyways, Dorka would usually help me translate, but we had a great conversation. I talked to him about basketball, but then I also tried to talk to him about just things that are going on. What was bugging him. What those kind of things, and I had a conversation. Little did I know that Tuesday night, God would move in a way in his life. And to give a little background on Tuesday, we start on Tuesday here for sports. We always share our testimony each day, but we start on Tuesday. For myself, I wanted to share. I always try to share on Tuesday because I know that's the gospel night when we share the gospel and we ask. We share it very very point blank. And and Bate even asked me questions about that throughout the day, and I didn't know the Lord was going to be working the way He did. And this kid, to many people, and you look at him, he's just a kid that has bad behavior or a kid that doesn't really care. Um, but to me, he was just a kid that just needed to be loved, and a kid that just needed to have a conversation and just to have a friend. And so I just tried to do all of that, and I learned that very quickly, because I learned that at the beginning of the week I was really frustrated and I was really showing that, and I didn't realize that, and they didn't necessarily tell me. I just kind of understood that, like, I'm not coming across as someone that loves them. I'm coming across somebody that's just here to get an answer, or is just here, whatever. Um, so that definitely was something that I think really hit me. And then when I'm sitting there taking pictures and video for our media stuff, the message been given, and they asked who would like to accept Christ, and I see his hand go up. I don't just see his hand; I see another kid's hand in my basketball group, and then another kid, and then another kid. And again, I don't know if it's anything I said. I don't know if it's anything I even talked about. All I know is I shared my testimony. I just loved on these kids. Um, and to see him go up there reminded me of why I do this. And I think I've said that a lot in the last few episodes, but it reminded me that I'm not here to necessarily lead a kid to Christ and one-on-one. But what I am here to do is plant seeds, and to plant love, and to plant this idea that there is something bigger than you, and that someone loves you for who you are. This kid, who to many maybe didn't deserve love, to many maybe just they were done with, or I don't know. There were a few kids like that in my basketball group. But the reason why I said a conversation can change a life is because I don't know if it did. I don't even know if he cared about what I said. But what I do know is that by myself showing love and listening to him and trying to understand him and these kind of things, maybe it did open that door. Maybe it opened that door for this kid to understand that there's someone out there that loves them, even when they don't feel it. And I hope for these other kids. And yeah, each kid is different. Each story is different. But I think we all can take that, is that no matter where you are, every conversation matters. Every conversation can change a life. Because I remember a youth pastor once told us that if you just go to the day of life and you just choose the conversations that you want to be biblical, you want to choose the conversations that you want to share the gospel with, then are you truly living out the mission? Are you truly living out what God calls us to do and is sharing the gospel every single day? Because living out the gospel doesn't mean that we need to, quote Bible verses every day to a kid. But what living out the gospel is simply living out our love for Christ, living out our service for Christ. And so I think at the end of the day, that's what I think I learned, was that I never know who's watching me. I never know who might have a conversation with me that needs to have that conversation. I guess I never realized how important that was until I saw this week. After a really rough week last week, and then to see this and to see 20 plus kids once again, say, I want to follow Jesus. Friends, this world is a crazy place right now. I look on the news every single day and I go, what is happening? What is this world that I live in? What is this world that I'm going to raise my children in? But I have to remind myself, this is temporary. God is allowing us to be on this earth. This is temporary. This is not our home. God allows what he allows, and he'll stop what he's going to stop. Is the end coming soon? Maybe, maybe not. We never know. But what I do know is I serve a God that allows us to have conversations, allows us to live for him in order to share the gospel. And I mean, that was just one story this week. I had another kid that reminded me of me when I was that age, when I was 11, 12 years old. This kid was kind of picked on at the beginning of the week, and kind of sensitive kid. And that was me. I was kind of sensitive. I was getting picked on a lot. And all I simply did was just sat down with this kid and I just talked with him. I didn't speak much English, but I tried to just show him love. Because I remember what I was doing with Ati. And I remember the impact it had on him. And so I'm sitting here having this conversation with this kid, and we have a tournament every night, a sports tournament. And I go out there to set it up early, like I always do. And this kid comes running out, and I thought, okay, maybe he's coming out to shoot early or whatever, to shoot basketball. No, this kid came out to help me. He grabbed basketballs. He set up the scoreboard. He grabbed the jerseys. He's like, more? Need more? He was attached to my hip. He didn't want to leave. He called me his best friend. I remember what I was like at that age, 10, 11 years old. I felt I didn't have many friends. I felt that I was different. I felt I wasn't the same as everyone else. And at times I felt like God didn't love me. So when I saw this kid, I saw this opportunity to say, I'm going to just show him what I wish I would have had when I was that age. And to have this conversation with this kid and have just, as maybe as tired as I was that night, and maybe I didn't want people around me, I knew this was the opportunity that God has given me for this moment. I should never waste the opportunities to love on these kids. You don't know what they're going back to after they leave camp here. We don't know what they're going to come in contact with after this camp. It's been almost 4 weeks of camp here. 4 weeks, a month of camps. And I feel like every day it's a new lesson. Every day there's something that's even just more amazing than the last. I don't know if I'll ever get over that amazing feeling. I don't think I'll ever get tired of it. It's one of those feelings where when you pour into a kid's life and when you are constantly sharing the gospel or constantly just showing love, and these kids ask questions and these kids come to know Christ, there's no greater feeling. There's no greater feeling than that. And it's so cool because every day I can lay my head down and go, this is why I do what I do. This is why almost a year ago I decided I want to become a missionary. I want to share the gospel with kids of Hungary. I want to share the gospel with the people of Hungary. Friends and family, especially back home, I love this place. I'm at peace here. I love what God is doing in my life, the lessons he's taught me over the last 5 months, the opportunities I've had to have great conversations, to get to know people, to understand people. It's something that I will cherish for a lifetime. If I leave here next March and I never come back to Word of Life Hungary, if I never serve here again, those memories, those conversations, those moments, I will remember forever. Bati, I'll remember forever. This other young kid, I'll remember forever. Because, friends, God doesn't call us to be servants of him part-time. God doesn't call us to be servants of him more than part-time. God calls us to be servants for him all the time. So a conversation can change a life. Conversation with your family can change their lives. Conversation with that friend that you have not talked about the gospel with ever. Maybe you're like many of us that have childhood friends that you went to school with for 13 years, graduate high school with, and then you kind of went separate ways. Have you talked to them about Christ? Have you shared them the good news? When are you going to be willing to step out of your comfort zone and say, I'm going to share the gospel no matter what people think? We shouldn't live this life based on what somebody thinks of us. We shouldn't live this life based on what we think is good because people say it's good. We should live this life based on the Bible, based on God's holy word. If in there it says to do something, we should do it. We shouldn't be doing it half speed. We should be doing it full speed. So friends and family, I challenge you that when you look at your life right now, look at it and say, am I having the conversations that can change lives, or am I having the conversations that can only benefit me? Are they biblical conversations? Or are they just about other people? Or maybe they're about yourself? Are they healthy conversations that can then draw God's word into your heart and say, I want to live for him more? I pray that each and every one of us can live out that mission, can live out what God calls us to do. There's no greater thing. It's one of the biggest blessings I've ever had in my life. And I will ever be eternally grateful for what God has done in my life. And so I hope that this episode can maybe challenge you to have better conversations. And so once again, I want to thank you for tuning in. I always appreciate anybody that listens and everybody that listens, because it truly helps me see that people are enjoying what I do, and I enjoy what I do. So thank you so much. And if you love this episode on Apple Podcasts, or maybe you listen on Spotify, favorite it, make sure it shows up on your homepage so you can always kind of follow along when new episodes come out, which is weekly, which is always key. I think you always want to know when things come out. If you're on YouTube, go ahead and click that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. That way, you're you're in tune for what everything that's going on, in tune, in touch. I never know what to say, but that's fine. You can just see what everything that happens, all the episodes that come out, all the different videos that I post here on YouTube as well. So once again, I want to remind you of this, that we serve an amazing God and that he is faithful and we can trust him. And as always, we'll talk next time.